Excellent. Thanks. Thank you there. So the purpose of the next 30 minutes is to provide a product overview and a demo of SuiteFiles in action, and really to look to address some of the investor questions that have come through the existing Q&A, and also with some Q&A at the end. And we'll also include how the product compares to things like Dropbox and the other file synchronization tools, which is a question that's come up a few times. In terms of an introduction to the capital raise, I'll just give a quick overview of the offer to date, just so that we make sure everybody understands what we're trying to do. The capital raise really is specifically to support the growth aspirations of the business, and it's primarily a marketing-led drive really at the moment. So there are three key aspects to the capital raise, or the purpose of the capital raise. One is to really focus and grow our partnership program, which is sales-driven. One is to assist and drive more event attendance, which I'll talk about in a moment. And the third one really is to continue our investment into the SuiteFiles product itself. And all three of those are designed to drive revenue directly. So with the partnership program, it really is a focus at the moment on Australia in the short term, and working with Xero to identify and work with resellers who can then drive customer acquisition, recognizing that each customer that we acquire tends to have a number of seats, anything from 5 seats upwards. The event attendance itself is a proven strategy. Being visible and accessible at these events around Australia and Asia Pac really does drive subscription sales. It's a chance for Andy and the team to connect directly with the business decision makers within particularly the accounting sector. Andy will be in Singapore next week, and he'll talk a little bit about that as well. Then the third part, really, the investment in the platform is quite significant for us, because what we're trying to do is release new features with a bit more velocity. New features will get pushed into the Pro plan, which for us directly drives up average selling price as we create some velocity to move people from the basic plan up to the Pro plan. The new features are sort of that hook to move people up the curve a little. We've just pushed out an update through the Snowball site around our latest data to the end of the first half. When we kicked off the financial year, when we pushed out the investment statement, in about July, we were seeing about $900,000 of ARR. The current numbers to the end of September are $954,080 of pure subscription revenue. The adjusted ARR, which is an amount adjusted for migration services revenue, is 1.1 million. The total paying users at the moment is 4,519, up from 3,699 at the beginning of the financial year, so up 22%. The ARPU, which is a number we monitor obviously monthly, has moved from $16.42 to $17.59 in the financial year, up from $17.38 when we pushed out the investment statement, so still the right trajectory. Our actual customer count, that is the number of customers that then acquire and buy seats, is 481, up from 388 at the beginning of the year, so up 24%, so quite a significant shift in actual customers. The update is on the site live now, so there's a lot more detail there, including the charts. And again, if there are any questions that come from that data, they can be pushed through the Snowball site, and we'll answer them as quickly as we can. So Andy, over to you really to share your screen and talk through the product key feature set.
Yeah, did you want me to talk a bit about events as well?
Yeah. Please.
Yeah, okay. So over the next 6 or so weeks, we've got a number of events 3 events that we're attending around the world. I'm off to Singapore next week for the Accounting and Finance Show, something that where Xero has a major presence and a big stand there, where they've asked us to be on that stand with them to show accountants in the Asia Pac region all about SuiteFiles. So that's next week. A couple of weeks after that, we're going to the World Congress of Accountants in Sydney, where we have again another stand there. That event's expecting to get around about 6,500 to 7,000 attendees from all around the world. And then immediately after that, we're off to London for the last Xero conference. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you mentioned also a partner program, a big push in Australia. We're also trying to get a partner program up and running in the UK as well, because we see that as one of our big opportunities over the next year or so. Then also in terms of roadmap stuff and things that we're going to be doing to push subscriptions up, hopefully get people up into our pro plan as opposed to our mid-tier full suite plan. Things that we're looking at doing over the next 12 months include building in our own document signature platform, SuiteFiles. So you could essentially take any agreement that's in PDF format and apply signatures to it and do it in a way that is encrypted, and we're registering IP addresses, and there are secure certificates behind it, so we can validate that a particular version of a document has been signed at a particular time. We're looking at things around portal and in particular client portal, so the ability for anyone who's a customer really to share documents with people outside of the SuiteFiles platform. And do that simply and easily. And also, we get asked a lot. We've started some work on mass generation of templates. So being able to send out an email or create a document for multiple customers at one time. So yeah, those are the things that are coming over the next 12 months. So what I'll do now is I shall share my screen, and I think we want to have a quick look at SuiteFiles to show you what it actually is all about. Because on the screen here, this is the SuiteFiles web app, and it's really simple. So we have designed it to be nice and easy and simple to use and get around. And what you'll see on the screen, basically are folders and files. So on the left-hand side of the screen here, we've got a folder structure, and we can just drill down into any particular folder, and you can see the files that are in that folder appear in the middle of the screen. Let's drill down and say that client there. There's a bunch of different file types in here. SuiteFiles store just about any file type that you need. Obviously, Office documents, because we're built on Microsoft's platform, play really nicely in SuiteFiles. But also you can see in there's PDFs and there are MSG files, so those are email files. Working with the files is nice and easy. As an Office 365 user, I've got choices in how I work with my Office documents. So in this case, I've got a Word document here, this intro letter one. Let's look at that. If I click on it, it's going to open in Word Online. That's simply because my settings are enabled to do that. But if I wanted to, I could change my settings, and I could have clicked that file and opened it straight into the desktop version of Word. I can also do it straight out of here by clicking my Open in Office button. And what happens now is that file is opened straight out of the Office 365 data centers onto my computer. And it means that when I edit the file and make changes to that file, those changes are going straight back to the Office 365 system. And it means that the next person who opens the document will see those changes as they've happened. Where things start to get nice and interesting with SuiteFiles, though, is a bit more around the other apps and other ways that we play with systems. So one of the key features that our accounting customers are after tends to be our email integration. So in my email profile here, you can see over on the right-hand side of my screen, I've got this add-in. This is SuiteFiles, but viewed through Outlook. What you can see over on the right-hand side here are all my folders that I have in the same SuiteFiles site I was just looking at through the browser. And I can navigate my way around, and I can see all my different clients and all the different files that are sitting in the subfolders for all those clients. Now, the whole purpose of this tool or add-in is really to get information out of your inbox and into your file management system. And the reason for that is that today, while people still create a lot of files, there's a lot of corporate information that goes back and forth through email. Now, that corporate information is not really something that should just sit in my inbox, for example. It should be shared. If I've got information that I'm on a project that I'm doing with a client, and I need other people in my business to be able to see that information, if it is just sitting in an email in my inbox, no one's got access to it. So what I need to be able to do is get that email into another place so that other people can see that information. And that's really straightforward. So That information comes in an email in two forms. One is through an attachment in the email, and you can see in the preview pane that I've got open here, there's an attachment, this welcome to SuiteFiles Cloud Docs Limited. If I want to save that file into SuiteFiles, it's just a case of drag and drop. And that's going to upload, and it's be sitting there. You can see it down the bottom of the list there, sitting in the SuiteFiles system. If I want to save the entire email, again, it's a drag and drop process, this time from my inbox. Now, I'd do that if I wanted to save all the content that I've just highlighted there, if I want that to be saved into my file system. I can do that by just dragging and dropping the actual email from the inbox over to that folder, and that's going to upload into the file system for me. Close that. You'll see it sitting there, so it's that second file down on the list there, all ready to go. That now means that anyone who has access to that folder in SuiteFiles, that 99 Corporation client folder, will be able to see that email and also the attachments that are within it. So it's really simple from that perspective. Getting information into email that you're sending is also a key thing. And if you're just using something like Office 365 out of the box, you'd have to actually download a document to your local computer and then attach it to an email that you're sending. We've got other ways to do that. So if I want to create a new email, I can simply click my Attach from SuiteFiles icon here. And again, you can see a browser where you can navigate your way around your file system, find your files, just click on a file and load that directly into your email for sending. And of course, when you're sending an email, there's often information in the email that you might want to save as well. So again, think of the use case where you're having a conversation with a client and you need to save a copy of the information that you're actually sending out to them. So you can do that with a save on send feature that we've got built into SuiteFiles. When I click send, I get this pop-up screen that comes up and it says, would I like to save this email somewhere in the system? And I can just simply navigate my way around, find my client folder, and click Save on Send. That email is now, that sent email is not only going into my, going to the person or the recipient, but the saved copy is going to be stored in the SuiteFiles system also. I'll just refresh here. You can see there's the third file from the bottom of the list there, saving an email. That's the email that I just sent. Then real quick look at our Xero Practice Manager integration. So this is one of the things that really, I guess, gives us a point of difference from other document management systems. Our ability to integrate with third-party applications and our desire to do that to make things more streamlined and efficient for end users. So in particular for our accounting clients, the Xero Practice Management tool, this tool is a free tool that Xero gives to any accounting firm that has 25 or more clients on the Xero platform. And it's designed for accountants to manage not only a CRM function, but also all the workflow, job assignment, task assignment, getting things done within the accounting practice. As a result, they've got a lot of information about all their clients. Now, Xero don't have any kind of their own document management solution. So what we can do is, what they do is they recommend SuiteFiles, and we hook SuiteFiles up to the Xero Practice Manager. When that's all done, when they're doing things, for example, like creating a new client, let's just call it Snowball. If I hit save, what happens is the Practice Manager now looks inside of SuiteFiles and it's looking to see, does that client folder already exist? And if the answer is no, you get this pop-up screen that comes up and it says, would you like to create that client folder inside of SuiteFiles? And I, of course, want to click Create to do that. But also I can choose what we call a folder template. So a folder template is a standardized set of subfolders that we can set up under the new client folder that we're just creating in SuiteFiles. So I click Create, that does its thing. get a notification telling me that it's all done. Also, when it's done, you'll see a link has been inserted onto the screen here in the Xero Practice Manager. I can click that link and it takes me straight to that new client folder inside of SuiteFiles. And you can see over on the left-hand side, there's a series of subfolders that have already been set up for that client, all ready to go straight away. With the other things that we can do from the Practice Manager, if I change the client name, that will prompt me to update the client folder name in SuiteFiles. If I archive the client in the Xero Practice Manager, it'll prompt me to archive the client in SuiteFiles. It's trying to keep things aligned and making sure that there is really only one source of information for your documents. As well as doing that, though, we can pull information back out of the Xero Practice Manager, and we can use that inside of templates. In particular, we can use that inside of documents and emails. So let's just go back to a client that's already been set up. The one we were just looking at before, our 99 Corporation client. And here you'll see there's a bunch of information that we've put in place. So there's contact information over on the right-hand side here. There's information in here about whether they're GST enabled, and we've got other bits and pieces in here too. Actually, let's just, we've got quite enough info in there, so I'm just going to edit that. And let's put a bit more info in here. And services required, we'll check a few of these. This is kind of a standard setup for the Xero Practice Manager that one of our partners in Australia does for accounting firms. So it looks like what an accounting firm would see. A few things there. So, okay, we're done. So what we can do now, we've got all this information set up, is we can take that and we can pull it out of the Practice Manager and we can insert it directly into document. So if we just have a real quick look at our template gallery, I've got a template here. Right, so on the screen here, I've got my template. You can see we've got these custom fields in the template. These are fields of information that we can pull back out of the Practice Manager and pre-populate it. So any kind of standard content that you've got, if you've got a field in the Practice Manager with information, you can insert that field into a document. You can see in here, and I've got like the number of employees, which I filled in for that 99 Corporation, and a whole bunch of other things already set up, ready to go. We can put some logic in behind these fields as well. So anything that's got a yes, no, or a true, false value, we can determine what kind of information we want to put into the document as a result. And then quite simply, all we need to do is go to our client folder. Let's create a new file based on a template. Let's find our XPM demo letter. Where's it on? Oops, there it is there. We choose our client's already chosen for us, so the SuiteFiles has worked out that there's a corresponding client inside the Practice Manager that we're going to connect to. Let's just call this, I'll give this letter a new name, so Snowball Demo Letter, and I click Create. So what happens now is a new document is generated in this folder, it's created, and information from the Practice Manager is pre-populated into that file for us. You can see now, yeah, obviously things like our name, our address details, all these services that are required, these have all been filled in and it's all ready to go, very, very simply and easily. And as I say, we can do that with documents and we can also do that with emails. And that's really the really quick demo of, I guess, some of the key things that we've got sitting inside the SuiteFiles system.
Great. Thanks, Andy. Do you want to just take a look at SuiteDrive as a separate?
Yeah, we can have a look at that. That's I haven't actually connected that to the same site, but SuiteFiles Drive is simply just a mapped network drive that sits inside the Windows Explorer. You can see it down here. It's my U drive. This is actually connected to my production site at the moment that we work in all day, every day. And again, it's just connected to the underlying Office 365 solution, and you can navigate your way around. You can see all your subfolders and all your files. It's a pretty simple solution in how it looks. There's a lot of technical stuff that goes in behind it in terms of actually making it work, but for all intents and purposes, yeah, it looks like you are connected to a mapped network drive. You can open your files, edit them, save them, and do all those move them around, do all those sorts of things. It's not syncing any files. These are simply just a view into the underlying Office 365 system. So what that really means from a governance perspective is that as soon as people are not synchronizing files to their devices, whether that be a computer or a mobile device, and if they leave the organization and you remove their SuiteFiles licensing, they won't be able to access that folder anymore.
Yeah, key differentiation between this and, say, Dropbox and other file synchronization tools is that whilst the files look like they're a file share sitting on an Explorer view, which a lot of our accountants quite like, none of the actual file content is there, nor is it synchronized. It's a header. So it's behind the scenes. It's a very complex piece of development that allows us to synchronize headers and metadata, if you like, but the data security or document security is still maintained through the SuiteFiles APIs into what we'd call it, say, the clearinghouse, as to how the data is available. Great. Did you have anything else you want to cover off, Andy, about UK and Sydney?
No, we've sort of been in those at a high level. I think the big thing about the UK is further building our relationships with Xero up there, and an organisation that we've started a partnership with, and really trying to kickstart that. It'd be our third trip to the UK in the last 12 months, and I think the key thing is really just being present and available, and making sure that people know that we're not some fly-by-night organisation that turns up once and is never to be seen again. I think that's really critical for us up there at the moment.
Okay, great. Thanks for that. We'll open up. So we're running bang on time, which is perfect. Thank you, Andy. We'll just open it up to questions either typed through the Zoom group chat, or if you unmute yourself and ask a question, or raise your hand through the Zoom app. Open the floor to you all.
There is a question here that has come in through the chat, which is, how does SuiteFiles compare to enterprise systems like iManage, DocuShare, and custom SharePoint installations? Good question. So those systems are obviously big, and they're designed for big organisations, and would generally have probably one or a team of people who look after them. In particular, a custom SharePoint installation, big organisations tend to have teams of people who look after them all day, every day. SuiteFiles is not designed to have that kind of footprint or overhead for an organisation. It is designed to be simple and easy to use. It's designed that you can set it up once, and there it is, and it's ready to go. And as an end user, you don't have to spend any time configuring it. Those systems, the iManagers, the DocuShares, SharePoints, also tend to be based around sort of, I guess, what you call traditional document management, or sort of theoretical document management, where you're using metadata to tag documents. Again, when you're a big organisation and you can invest in the processes and also the people, probably with big sticks, to ensure that metadata is applied to documents and various other parts of the system. That's all great. Our customers don't have, or don't even want, I should say, let alone not have, the ability to put someone full-time to manage and ensure that documents are tagged correctly. Also, what you find is, what we've found is that for most of our customers, the whole idea of having a folder structure just works perfectly for them. That's what they're used to, it's what they know and understand, and they're very happy to continue along that track.
Thanks, Andy. Are there any other questions? Okay, I do have one, Andy. Do you want to just talk briefly about migrations, because they're quite a big part of our monthly revenue take, if you like?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So Obviously, you can turn SuiteFiles on. You can have a blank site with nothing in it, and actually, a number of our customers do that, and they just simply start to fill it up as they go. As documents are created, they create folders and put the documents into those folders. But also, a good probably 50% of our customers want to actually pick up all of their files that are on some other file system, whether that be in a file, just a standard file server in a folder structure, or when it comes to accountants, if they're sitting in the MYOB, document manager, virtual cabinet, or any other file system that accountants tend to be using. We can run processes where we can extract those files from those other file systems, put them into a folder structure, and then migrate them up into the SuiteFile system. We're often asked, how long this takes, because when accountants are changing their accounting software, they know it's a process and it takes time, and they're always very surprised to know that we can do it over a weekend where there's pretty much zero downtime. Our tools can automate that process nice and easily for people, and quite simply all we do is on a Friday night get access to their file systems, and by Monday morning when they come in, it's all done and ready to go. And so it's a pretty seamless, straightforward process from the end user's perspective anyway.
And the accuracy rate?
99.99. Yeah, we're getting, there's very few files that won't migrate as a part of a migration. There are obviously some files that are irrelevant in a cloud-based file system. There are files that Windows generates in a file server. We don't migrate those. But for all the files that you need, last count it was 1 in 25,000 won't migrate.
And that's a proprietary tool that was built specifically to deal to the issue of primarily accountants worrying about how do you migrate. It was certainly a blocker to people's sort of emotional drive to the cloud. So we dealt with it through this tool set.
Yeah, and we built our own tools because doing it manually was, we went through the pain that a lot of other people go through where it takes weeks. Yeah. And it should never take weeks. You're not in business to move your files. You just need to make it happen. Yeah. So we've done it. Yeah.
Got a question that came through which was around Suite Drive. So from let me just get off my screen. Does the use of the header in the window Explorer allow you to save space on your hard drive? So I've just answered that briefly, saying, yeah, absolutely. That was one of the drivers to people having mobile file storage. If you've got Dropbox on your Samsung phone, and you've got a 5 gig Dropbox, that's pretty that's a pretty fat space to store stuff. So Suite Drive on a laptop, for example, is just the header files. I don't know, Andy, if you wanted to comment any more on how that was constructed.
It pretty much sums it up. The whole idea with everything that we're doing is to ensure that you've got a single source of truth for your documents. So there's another question in here asking about differences between SuiteFiles and Dropbox or Google Drive. Dropbox, for example, started out as a consumer product that was really designed to share files across your own devices. So that would be standard scenario would be I've got some photos on my phone and I want to get them to my computer nice and easily. So I install the Dropbox app and they synchronize. Obviously, they then moved into a business offering, which was a little bit different to that. But the fundamental principles behind it are still the same. You're synchronizing your documents between devices. That, of course, fills up hard drive space, which may or may not be an issue. It also creates multiple copies of your documents. And in particular, when you're talking about your business information, if you've got multiple copies of documents on different devices, how do you know what the source of truth is? Now, I know people will say, well, I've got a sync tool sitting on my computer and it's always going to sync back to the cloud-based version of the document that I've uploaded to Dropbox, and that's the source of truth. And yes, that is the theory, but I think the practice behind it, particularly when you get to organizations where they've got 5 or more people, really start to run into issues. People can turn their computers off before documents sync. There can be sync issues that happen. Doesn't really, I know Microsoft have got a sync tool and they've had a lot of grief with it over the years, but they're not the only ones who've had problems with their sync tools. And so we've taken a stance which says, we want one source of the truth, one document. That is the cloud-based version. And all of our add-ins and apps are going to access the one in the cloud. And that's exactly what our Drive app does. It's exactly what our web app does. It's exactly what our Outlook app does, and our mobile apps. They're accessing things in real time directly. So it does mean, of course, that you need an internet connection to access your files.
Yeah.
But that's no different. If you've got a server and you need a VPN, you still need an internet connection to get your VPN and get things running.
So to extend on that, so I worry about risk and document security and governance every day. One of the primary drivers was around document security. So what we see with Dropbox, which is banned from some agencies because of file security, is that if you have an employee that leaves your organization and they've got a Dropbox installed on 5 different devices, they've in theory got 5 versions of that document or that document library of an entire company's IP. That if they don't log in or try and sync, they can do whatever they wish with that data. With SuiteDrive, the explicit blocker is that as soon as their license is removed as a user of a SuiteFiles domain, they may see the file headers, but they cannot access those documents because they have to go back through the authentication clearinghouse to look at content. So it's an explicit blocker to them. They cannot get to that material.
So that's a fundamental difference with SuiteFiles and other solutions. The other thing which I've kind of touched on is our ability and desire to integrate with other systems. Now, Xero and the Xero Practice Manager will say that they integrate with Dropbox, and they do have a degree of integration where through the Practice Manager you can save files directly into Dropbox. That's fine. Exactly the same things we can do with SuiteFiles. But things like automating workflows around creating new client folders, things around populating document templates, all those sorts of things. These are things that we've had to build. It's not something that Xero could build onto SuiteFiles or onto Dropbox. We've had to do it ourselves. And I don't believe that a Dropbox is going to build those kind of integrations with other third-party solutions. So we can get quite specific. We can target various verticals and work out solutions that are really going to work for them and make them more productive.
Thanks, Andy. So one of the we've talked a lot about accountants, obviously, as a major client base, and that's where we've been focused. Obviously, the solution is very applicable to the legal profession in terms of document security and the ability to share documents and be remote. So there's a huge opportunity for us to obviously shift away from accountants over the next 3, 6, 12 months. I mean, there's more than enough work with the accounting sector for us to divert. Another question just came through, which is what has been some of the key secret source technology developments? So the SuiteDrive application was co-funded with Callahan Innovation because it was something we didn't know if we could build. When we were looking at file synchronization and the desire from our customer base to be able to access documents remotely, we didn't want to build just another synchronization tool. It certainly didn't meet our security needs. So the secret sauce behind the scenes is a very technical solution. And when we started the project, we actually didn't know if we could do it. So it was one of those ones we put through our Callahan scheme to really give us some technical stretch. I can't really talk about the technical aspects of it because that was Callum's brain and he's not on the call, but we could certainly try and articulate that in an update over the next few weeks around how it really works.
I think also to put some context around that, that's probably something that people asked us for from day one because they didn't really want to work with the browser. Working with the browser was foreign when it came to files. We think we're sort of cracking that nut now. But also we've been working on that for 5 years before the Callahan funding came along and haven't been able to crack it. So it was one of those things. But in terms of secret sauce around technology development, that sort of thing aside, I think the secret sauce to our business really is just we've been chipping away, we've been trying lots of things, and it's just a lot of hard work at the end of the day where we have been iterating. We try some things, sometimes we get them right, sometimes we don't, but we just keep learning from it. And I think that's what is also setting us apart from a number of potential competitors is our ability to just keep moving forward and keep providing solutions in this right now for accountants, but in the future for other industries as well.
Yep. So do you want to touch on some of the road map aspects of those new features that are coming on that we're working on, that we're looking to drive average selling price by adding to the Pro plan?
There's not a huge amount of detail at the moment, other than over the next sort of 6 to 12 months, you'll see things, as I mentioned before, like document signing. You'll see client portal, and you'll see the ability to mass generate documents or emails from templates for sending out to people. But those are sort of the key 3 features that our customers are asking for at the moment.
Yeah. So all 3 of those will be IP that get developed within the SuiteFiles business through our team. They're things that are, I think, pretty valuable, because we're approaching it from a technology standpoint, not trying to customize someone else's code, even down to the underlying use of SharePoint as a back-end repository for documents. Everything we've built is sitting above that layer. There's a huge emphasis on us to try and not necessarily decouple, but to not be beholden to Microsoft's platform. So the work of the team over the last couple of years has been to build out or develop solutions that are pretty much agnostic of whether SharePoint's the library or another document library, AWS or any other sort of file repository. And all of that is IP that sits within the business, and I think it has some significant value because it's different to what the competitors are doing. Great, thanks, Andy. Any other questions from the audience? Okay, fabulous. Thank you, everyone, for joining. As I mentioned at the very beginning, there's an update we've just pushed out through the Snowball Updates feature, which brings the financial metrics up to date up to the end of September. So our full first half. We're pretty pleased with where we've got to. We've hit the numbers that we wanted to hit. We're a bit behind in terms of the capital raise, so a lot of our projections were based on closing this offer slightly earlier, but we're actually running absolutely to plan. The key from here is when we close the capital raise over the next few weeks, Andy and Cal are going to be hard on the road trying to drive customer acquisition and new seats. So we're pretty excited for the December close. In terms of reporting to shareholders, we'll be developing out a much more comprehensive financial report each quarter for investors. If you're a direct investor on the cap table, there's slightly more information that you get the same information but slightly faster, and then we'll be providing a version that's a summary P&L for general investors each quarter, and obviously we'll be running Q&As throughout the year. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Snowball team. We will release a copy of this onto the site over the next 24 hours, I suspect. So appreciate your time, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.